My next topic could be distressing for some viewers. If you're a mother who has a miscarriage, a stillbirth, or a baby who dies after birth, you may be able to get a one-off stillborn baby payment. But my next guest, Dr. Joanna Howe, argues that there are some who are abusing this payment that's meant to go to bereaved parents. Dr. Joanna Howe joins me now. Are you saying that this payment could go to those who opt to have a late-term abortion? And are we talking about those who have a late-term abortion because of health issues? The child may not be viable, or their mother's physical well-being may be in jeopardy if she continues the pregnancy?
Having a stillborn baby, Rita, is one of every mother's worst nightmares. And it's because you were intending to have this child and you were so looking forward to seeing them, and then they unfortunately, tragically, are born dead. Having a late-term abortion is a tragedy of an entirely different kind. It's intentionally inducing a child stillborn. So that is the method of late-term abortion in Australia. And we need to remember that in Australia, abortion up to birth is legal for any reason in every state and territory. And so the method after 20 weeks is to inject the child with digoxin, which will induce death, and then to give the mother labour-inducing drugs so that the child is born dead. So they're born stillborn. It's an intentional stillborn. And in this scenario, a mother is eligible for the $4,255 stillborn parenting payment. And I have called this out on social media, on my Instagram, at Dr. Joanna Howe, because I do think that this is not the intention of policymakers, that we would be able to access this payment for intentionally killing a child late term. And you asked the question, it's a very good one, because there's a lot of confusion around it. Are these babies going to die anyway? Are they being killed in the case of a medical emergency to save a mother's life? And the answer is actually no. The data shows, so we've got 11-year data from Queensland and Victoria, and we can see that 4,929 babies were killed after 20 weeks. And in Victoria, where they take the reason for the abortion, for the late-term abortion, nearly 1 in 2 are on perfectly healthy babies with physically healthy mothers. So these are babies that could have been induced alive. They didn't need to be killed first by an intracardiac needle. They could have just been induced and then given care. And in South Australia, where I'm from, the numbers are even more staggering. It's 80% of late-term abortions kill healthy babies. So these are not children that are incompatible with life. They are children that could make a contribution to our society if they were given the chance to be born alive.
But are you saying these were otherwise healthy babies and the mother's health wasn't in jeopardy? So I thought if you're having a late-term abortion beyond 20 weeks, for example, that there had to be a medical imperative behind it. Certainly you would expect that to be the case in the 3rd trimester.
You would expect that to be the case, but it's not the case in Australia. And this is the area where there is the most confusion around. And I bring my legal expertise as a professor of law into this. And what I show on my social media and through my research, I have a fact sheet available on my website. What it shows is that in Victoria in 2008, abortion was allowed up until birth for a psychosocial reason. And so that's a very broad category that includes anything that affects a mother's well-being. So it does not have to be a physical health emergency. It's not like a situation where the mother has a life-threatening illness and therefore the baby has to die to save the life of the mother. That is not the case. Victoria was the first jurisdiction to introduce that in 2008. Ever since then, every single other state and territory has introduced abortion up until birth for a wide category of reasons, largely under that psychosocial or maternal well-being category. And what this means is that healthy babies who, if born alive, if induced, rather than killed and then induced stillborn, if they were induced alive, they could be given care and they could survive. And at that point, the mother could be given care for her mental health condition. And that way, nobody has to die. And you know, that is the real thing that I'm fighting for, Rita, to wake Australians up to the fact that we have a situation in our country where Australia has the most extreme abortion laws in the world, like China and North Korea. And this is not a situation that I think most Australians would be comfortable with if they knew.
We've run out of time, Dr. Joanna Howe. Thank you so much for your time this evening. We will speak to you again about these very contentious issues.